Okay, Cal, we'll go ahead and take a look at your motion here. I've got you paired up with Chapman. And if your goal is looking to increase velocity, there's probably no better guy to model yourself after or look to than Chapman, because he really does a phenomenal job of generating and maximizing power in his delivery. So we'll just go ahead and take a look at you coming out of your leg lift here. I'll watch you go through your motion a couple times here. You do a pretty good job having good, nice rhythm and tempo. You're a really good follow through, getting over that front foot at the end. Now, what I want to talk about here with you more than anything is really just getting things moving earlier towards home plate and more powerfully, moving faster down the mound. That's really where velocity is going to come from, is getting things started, moving earlier towards home plate, creating momentum, and then just speeding up that movement, moving more aggressively down the mound. Because if you go ahead and watch you coming out of your leg lift here, draw a line from your head over your back foot. You do a good job staying nice and balanced there, but coming out of that leg lift, you haven't really gained much ground at all. The other thing I want to point out here, which I think just creates a little bit of a timing issue, when you're coming out of your leg lift, you really raise your elbows early. Your front elbow is like already up right there. I would rather see you stay a little more relaxed with your arms, because I think that will allow you to kind of just stay gathered over that back leg longer, ride your back leg out farther, and then you get the arms moving, rather than getting to this position so early. Right here, you're almost in a position where you're ready to throw. If I watch Chapman here, just go ahead and watching him come out of that leg lift, he gets to that position right about here. Okay, and you just look at the difference here between you guys. If I draw a line, clear up that first line, if I draw a line from your head straight down to the ground, right, you haven't gained a whole lot of ground there. If you watch Chapman here at this point, how far he's gotten away from the pitching rubber. He started to move his center of gravity, his hips, that mass in the center there, towards home plate, versus you, where you're still kind of, most of your weight is still back over that back leg. The main way I can see that is if I just draw a line looking at your back leg from your ankle to your knee, still straight up and down. If you look at Chapman, you can see how he's started to move towards home plate, get everything moving towards home plate there. So he's really in a much more powerful position there, and he started things earlier, getting that early momentum to get that more powerful drive. So I think that issue with the arms that I talked about, I think if you just kind of stay together a little longer with your arms, that will allow you to kind of buy some time for your legs to start moving down the mound earlier. But we'll go ahead and then just take you out to front foot plant when that front foot hits the ground. All right, you got things working pretty well there. You get into a pretty good position there. There's some hip to shoulder separation, so you can see you're still closed off with your shoulders. Your hips are starting to open up, but if I look at your back foot, still pretty much in the same spot as it was when you started, so you haven't really busted off the pitching rubber and gained a lot of ground there. And it's still sort of pointing towards third base. You haven't yet totally fired open with your hips. Now, if you look at Chapman, you look at the majority of hard throwers, really, the elite high velocity guys, that back foot will be turned so that the heel is facing second base. And you see that with Chapman here. That heel is facing second base, so you can tell his hips and his belt buckle is basically facing home plate here, while he's still very closed off with his shoulders. Still very much closed off there, so you got that good hip to shoulder separation or torque, that elastic energy, and then when he braces up with that front leg, when he stabilizes there, that's going to transfer all of that power from his lower half up into his upper half, and you just kind of whip around and catapult over his front leg. Go ahead and clear up these lines. Now we'll just go ahead and take you out to ball release here. What I want to focus on right here, the next thing I usually like to look at is how well do you stabilize and brace up with your front leg and your front knee. And you actually do a really good job there. If you look at your front knee action, that's exactly what I would want to see. And that's what you see with high velocity throwers. So that's really encouraging. The fact that at your age, you're able to get that movement down is phenomenal. So that's really good right there. At front foot plant, the other thing I want to talk about is your trunk tilt. So if you go ahead and take a look at where you're at versus where Chapman's at, you see the same front knee action. He's pushing back with that front knee and bracing up well. But if you take a look at his trunk tilt, let's go ahead and use this angle tool to kind of show you where you're at. You're somewhere in the neighborhood of like 45 degrees. And if you look at Chapman, He's more like 35 degrees. So he's got like an extra 10 degrees on you right there, which allows him to, number one, he's getting more forward trunk tilt, which increases velocity. Number two, he's releasing the ball that much closer to home plate. All right, so he's got two advantages on you right there, where his stride is more powerful, so he's getting more explosive there, and then he's busting off the pitching rubber so much more, where you saw with his back foot, when he was striding out and landing with that front foot, his back foot had already released off the pitching rubber, so he was already exploded off and gotten that much closer to home plate there. And then with that forward trunk tilt, he's able to release the ball so much closer. So you think about a guy throwing 100 plus miles an hour, plus he's releasing the ball that close to home plate. That's kind of scary from a hitter's perspective. So if you can work on sort of duplicating that kind of effect, getting that powerful with your stride, I mean, that's what you want to be working towards. So really just want to emphasize moving away from that back foot earlier, coming out of that leg lift. If I go back again to Chapman, just watch that a couple of times. See how as he's coming out of that leg lift, look at that angle with his back leg. Alright, he's really starting to move away from the pitching rubber there. Whereas with you, you're still kind of stuck over your back foot for a while, and then it's, you know, stepping out into front foot plant instead of really driving out. So you've got some good things to work with. I mean, you do a lot of things really well. Again, I really like the way you're bracing up with your front leg. So if you can just get moving earlier and more explosively down the mound, that's going to be able to really help you generate that extra power to maximize velocity. And you just, you know, watch this video. I hope it's helpful if you kind of compare yourself to what Chapman is doing here, because if you can create that early momentum and power in your delivery, it's going to make a big difference for you. So, you know, I looked at your short and long-term goals here. I think they're actually really good. You got some really good long-term goals that can motivate you. And if you're looking to make these velocity increases every year, like you're saying in your short-term goals, that's what you want to be working on, is really getting those hips moving earlier, working on developing those movement patterns, that muscle coordination, to get that explosive power and drive in your stride. It's going to take some work, but you know, at your age, you should be able to make those improvements. You seem like a pretty dedicated kid, so you know, hopefully you're able to keep working hard. If you have any questions at all about this video or anything else, you shoot me an email or give me a call, and I look forward to working with you again soon. Thanks.